when you have something that's essentially the price of a modern console right now, that is better than a modern console right now that you can get for half the price of, or half the projected price of the next Xbox, it's like, what are we even doing?
Round one, fight.
And that's the bottom line.
I need a weapon.
You cannot escape.
Get 1,000 things, get every day. Things every day. How about you make sure this? How about you make sure this?
It's time for the main.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Single Player Experience, the premium podcast where you can find out about all the goofiness that is single player gaming and also just gaming in general. Because I'm diving into PC gaming this year, like heavy. Right now, I'm just on a generic desktop and I have the Steam Deck, but I had to have a sensei to guide me through all these PC questions, and so I hit Alec up. Alec Taub has been on the show numerous amount of times. This guy is a PC gamer to his DNA right now. I'm like, he is just all things PC. I'm like, he plays mouse and keyboard. He was giving me tips and such like that. He's right now doing training modules, like he's a Jedi, and a Jedi in training, and they have the little orb thing that floats around the Jedi, and they shoot, and it shoots a little pellet, I guess laser at the little Jedi younglings, and he's deflecting all that kind of stuff, getting his FPS time quicker and quicker and such like that and such. And he's giving me a whole bunch of tips and tricks into, a PC build of my own. So in other words, we're going to be talking about a little bit of things on the PC side of the fence in this episode. We're also going to be talking about some of this really cool Steam machine news. For lack of a better word, it's a good confirmation that it's still happening, but we got some news on that front. Alec's been deep diving into specs lately, and he's going to be talking about his video game backlog that he's actually been slaying this year. And so, without further ado, let's get started. Alec, how you doing?
Doing good. Tired but good, it's almost Friday.
Yeah, oh man, thank God. Thank God. Alec, I gotta ask you something right off the top. I'm going to show you a generic PC part. I haven't given you any prep time. You're going to give me at a glance what you think this PC part is rated 1 through 10. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. All right, so I have been knee deep in PC build world under the suggestion of Alec, and I've been finding different people online that basically post deals. This one posted by a one Wario 64 on X. This one is a motherboard, DDR4 edition, made by Asus, ROG. It is the B550F gaming Wi-Fi 2 socket AMD4 ATX motherboard. Everybody, for non-PC gamers, it basically sounds like I've been speaking, in a land in the galaxy far, far away. It sounds like I'm just describing a droid, but it is just a motherboard. Looks like with DDR4 and Wi-Fi included. So, Alec, what do you think about this?
I think it's a good deal for anybody that's watching or listening that is not familiar with motherboards and would like a slight translation here. So AM4 is the is AMD. It's the AMD socket for all of their chips that were made under the AM4 brand. So that includes things like the 5800X3D. Not as well versed in AM as I am with the Intel stuff. Pardon my mistakes if I don't name the correct CPUs with those. But the B550 is the chipset that is this particular motherboard. So for example, let's take like the Intel series chips, like the latest series chips, the Ultra series. They come on a socket known as LGA1, and that just tells you this is that series of chips. And then there's two different chipsets for it. I can't remember what the first one is called, but the one that everybody wants, because it's a very good chipset, is called the Z8, and essentially just gives you access to more performance because it's a higher chipset. So in the case of this motherboard, this is the B550F. Not as familiar with where AM sits within the chipset types, but I mean, for $100, it's getting you in the door. My big thing is chipsets matter if you're going to do overclocking, if you're going to be in the BIOS and messing around with things. If your goal is just to get in the door, this is a great motherboard. It being DDR4, I certainly don't think takes away from it. I know Blackbird Tech, he's a YouTuber, recently did a video that sort of demonstrated that RAM speed really doesn't affect the AMD chips as much in terms of their gaming performance, at least on AM5. So it's possible that it's similar architecture for AM4, and depending on the CPU, especially if it's an X3D chip, would matter even less. So yeah, for $100, I mean, you're getting a motherboard, which I think is huge, especially an
Especially in
AM4
this
motherboard.
economy.
Yeah, that is the one place, at least, we haven't seen a terrible hit yet, is on motherboards.
Do you think we will?
I highly doubt it. It seems like the AI companies are really going for memory and computing power. So at least with motherboards, it seems less likely, just because it's not necessarily direct computing power, whereas at least, I mean, with memory, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, hopefully not. But I mean, like I said, this gets you on the AM4 platform. So you just got to slap in a 5800X 3D and like 16 gigs of DDR4, 32 gigs of DDR4 and call it a day.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like it's got pretty good sockets there for memory storage as well as far as like a good SSD.
Yeah, now I'm kind of curious. So this is the Asus B550F.
He's going into research mode, everybody.
Yeah,
This is what we wanted.
exactly.
This is what we wanted. He's feasting.
Well, actually, now I'm curious. Couple of things I'm going to answer for myself because I just am curious that way. So first thing I want to know is if I go look at motherboards, and we filter for, oh, no, I've already screwed it up. I'm sure this makes for fascinating podcasting for our listeners, hearing some guy Google something.
So for clarification though, what's got you curious though?
What's got me curious is just the naming conventions for AM specifically. Like, oh, that's why it's got the compatibility filter on. So yeah, I'm more curious just AM where B550 sits. It seems like it sits at the high end of the chipset. So you're looking at a high end or potentially high end chipset motherboard, which is good because the other option is the A5. Trying to see if there's any other chipsets available. I guess, oh, there's the B650s. So it is definitely more of an earlier gen chipset, but yeah, more just curious where it sat in that chipset hierarchy.
At this point though, with the earlier gen chipsets, like you're still pretty much getting strong performances right now, right? It's
Right. Yeah.
not
The
like this next generation's really just advanced so much. Has it?
it's so dependent on so many things, right? So like I know that we talked about this a couple podcasts ago where it's like everything in gaming, at least on the PC side, is dictated by resolution and then really your hardware. So your CPU and your GPU. Less so with the motherboard. I mean, the motherboard does have an effect. So like for instance, going again back to the example I used earlier with sort of the newer gen Intel stuff, with newer gen Intel, like the overclocking does have an important performance impact. So if like having a really high-end motherboard, or not even necessarily a high-end motherboard, but something that helps your memory controller so that you're able to put in higher speed RAM would have a direct impact on your gaming performance. So being able to overclock it to push it to higher, core speeds on your P cores, as well as having sort of that higher RAM speed would increase performance. But like in the case of AMD, I don't think it's as needed. And as I said, like if you ended up with like one of the X3D chips from AMD where they have that 3D V cache, then it matters even less.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I wanna talk about something that you've also been experimenting with, and going full deep diving on lately. That bad boy known as the Steam Deck. Alec,
Yes.
you've been traveling like Carmen Sandiego all around with your Steam Deck. How do you feel, man? How's it feel
Loved
to
it. I absolutely loved it because it did two things. One of the good things is it's very small. And because it's very small, it fits in my work backpack. So a concern that I used to have when traveling is, I have my work bag and then I'd have my personal bag. I had all my clothes and stuff in it, and I would stick my laptop in it. And especially when I'm going from hotel to inspections to hotel to inspections, I'm leaving that personal bag in my car all
Yeah.
day. So I would end up worrying, okay, is my laptop safe? Is my laptop safe?
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of concern there. Whereas like being able to just slide the Steam Deck into my work bag, I'm like, oh, it's right there.
Yeah, you're good to go at that point.
So that's one benefit, as well as the gaming performance was phenomenal. This last week, because I've put such a focus into wanting to play more Elden Ring this year, that's all I played was Elden Ring.
Oh,
Basically that whole, I guess, Monday through Thursday. I didn't play for like tremendous amounts of time. Always played plugged in, just would play from bed after like eating or something for like 2-3 hours while listening to my friend Twitch stream. But like it performed perfectly. Like I didn't, especially with a game that's so timing based, I was worried that, okay, if it stutters, am I going to get caught out? And like, is there like, what's going to happen? Like everybody says this runs great on Steam Deck, but there was that sense of, okay, let's see. And it performed phenomenally. Never got any stuttering, never got killed in a boss fight where I was like, oh, that was the deck's fault. No,
yeah.
so yeah, I was very, very impressed by the performance, the ease of use, the traveling, everything. The only issue that I ran into is it really had trouble with hotel Wi-Fi.
Wow.
In that, like when you get to like a hotel and they're like, oh yeah, put in your room number and your last name and it'll help you log in. My Steam Deck refused to pull that up on multiple points. It was just like, yeah, nope, that's steps beyond what the deck can handle currently. So wasn't able to log into hotel Wi-Fi, but yeah, did have a good time with it.
So, talk to me about this Elden Ring journey. You decided you wanted to be a tarnished, after
Yes.
playing Night Rain. What was that like? Stepping into what is it, the land in between? Is that what they say? I can't remember. It's been a while.
It's something like that. I can't say I have focused all that much because I feel slightly overwhelmed when I'm in there. I'm always like, okay, am I doing this right? What am I supposed to be? That's part of the fun though, I've noticed with Elden Ring, is you don't quite know what you're always supposed to be doing, which is kind of nice. It's not like there's no direct path. It's like you will often go explore and then fall into something and then realize you're too low a level for it and then be like, okay, I'll have to double back around to that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think it's been a lot better since the first time I played, because Night Rain at least provided me, I think I have something like 40 hours into Night Rain, so nothing crazy, but decent amount of time. It has helped prepare me a lot more for this, as well as Black Myth Wukong and Jedi Survivor and a couple of the other Souls games have at least instilled enough of those skills to where, yeah, I'm able to at least get through bosses relatively okay. It's still stuck on Margit, but I also haven't put tremendous amounts of time into Margit. But yeah, there was one night in my hotel, I spent like an hour on Margit, would consistently get him to about 1/3 health, and then his skill set would get me. But I'm like, okay. And my friend keeps telling me, he's like, just go level some more and you'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep leveling, go get some more smithing stones, upgrade my sword some more, or katana, and then go back in there again.
So, tell me about this build of yours. You decided you were going pretty heavily into the way of the sword, right?
Yes, yes. I fully accepted that I was just gonna go full katana. Um, Partially because of my time in, oh god, in Night Rain. Uh, so typically I was a magic player in Night Rain using Recluse, and then one day on a whim, I decided to play the new character. It's the Scholar. I can't remember what his name is. But I went in to play it and was told, so he is a magic user, but he is also definitely a melee guy. So if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to get better at your melee stuff. So I learned very quickly I was a terrible Scholar player and immediately put it down and swapped back to Recluse, and then really started focusing on like Carrion Sword as my spell, which really forces me to do melee stuff. And so it really helped me with my dodging and my parrying and understanding just how these things are supposed to function, as well as has given me a much better feel for the boss fights as well, right? So understanding that the boss fights really are, hey, this boss has this subset of movement, you just need to learn the subset of movement that they're going to throw at you. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, it can be very hard to time, but it's like once you get the timing down, you'll find it's not that bad. So yeah, going through leveling, figuring out all that has been pretty fun. I've also done some of the, or I've been doing some of the minor bosses, and then some of the little mini dungeon spawn things where you spawn up a dude after depositing one of the sword keys. And I first timed a couple of them. I was like, okay, I'm not as bad at this as I used to be. I'm actually getting a little bit better. So yeah.
So, do you feel like you're in it for the long haul, or you feel like this is
Yes.
kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I have really enjoyed it. And I like that it works as well as it does on Steam Deck because I travel as much as I do for work. It's like, okay, cool. I have something to almost like look forward to when I get off of work of, oh, I'm going to go play this. Like I'm going to
it's your
go.
travel game?
Yeah, it's kind of becoming my travel game, which is a lot of fun. As well as, I downloaded a couple other games on deck too that I'm excited to try. Obviously, I've tried Hades, so Hades I have it on there as well, and Hades 2, which I'm not allowed to play until I finish Hades 1 is the rule
There
that
you
I've
go,
made for
the
myself.
the, the
I'm
good
like,
rule, yeah.
yeah. I'm like, if you're gonna do it right. So yeah, that aspect of it, as well as I downloaded a couple others, so things like Stellaris, which I'm very curious to see how
Okay,
Stellaris works on Steam Deck, because apparently it functions pretty well. The Kingdom Come Deliverance games I have as well, if I want something that's a little bit more slow paced.
I'm so shocked if you get into that. I'm gonna be shocked because you're usually a more fast paced
Yes,
kind of guy as
yes,
far as
that
when with your gaming taste.
very much so, and that's why. And to a degree, that's kind of the reason that I look forward to doing it, is because it is not fast paced. Like, especially, those really long inspection days where I've, been running around traveling. Maybe I've been at, two schools for like 9 hours. It's like, when I get back to the hotel, maybe I don't want to suffer against Target. Maybe I just want to, like, I actually thought about downloading Indiana Jones onto my Steam Deck because I want to go back through and do all the exploration stuff and solve all the puzzles. And I'm like,
Okay.
that might be a better time once if on those really long days you just come back to the hotel, eat, and then go explore in Indiana Jones for an hour or two.
Yeah, it might not be a bad little gameplay there. I'm curious because like Indiana Jones feels slower paced than what you normally do, but not anywhere near to not near Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come is I feel like it's intentionally methodical in a way to where I'm like, I'm so curious on how you're going to digest that, if that's going to be something that you found palatable versus Elden Ring right here is like, even though I was this gameplay footage was from one of my playthroughs is more so like I was doing a mage style, and even that is like more zippy, more fast paced. You kind of gotta like weave in and out. You gotta be careful about your health, your placement, and everything in between. So I'm like, I'm so curious on how you're going to and how you the long tail of what Elden Ring is going to be like for you because it's a different beast. It really is.
Yeah.
I know you've been playing Night Rain, but I'm like going at it solo is kind of is a lot more of a different thing
Yes.
there.
Yes. Which that's the other thing I've appreciated is, and one of the things I've like forced myself to do is I'm like, okay, in Night Rain, I get carried. Like I fully willingly admit it. Like my one friend, recently became affiliate status on Twitch, and he is like a Souls guy. He's talking about doing a full no hit run, and then he runs
What?
with he does Night Rain runs with my buddy where they've gotten, I think it goes up to depths 5 is like the highest difficulty you can get to. They're on depths 4. Like they live and breathe Souls games. Like this is their thing. It's like, so like when I roll with them, I'm just along for the ride. I try to get I try
Yeah.
to get a little bit of damage in, just don't die. Whereas this is more of a, okay, if I'm gonna do this, let's do it to like actually get better. Let's do this to actually learn how to fight these bosses properly and to get better at the combat and go through the process of the struggle. And I know at some point I'm going to hit a boss where I'm going to feel like it's impossible, and it will either make or break me. I kind of know that I'm going to hit that one boss and be like, I might need a break from the game and might not want to continue. I'm willing to accept that though.
Yeah.
And I'm
At
willing
least
to
you
accept,
learned that about yourself.
yeah, like the one thing about the backlog is my goal this year was to beat the backlog, but at the same time I'm like, you know what? the whole reason we play games is for fun. So it's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
if I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it. Like it definitely will. And there are some games on there I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like Black Myth Wukong. I know there's gonna be some bosses in there where I'm just gonna be like, no,
Yeah,
this
I
is
hear
not
you.
it. So
I
I'm
hear you.
like, it's just gonna happen, and it's like I will have to sort of decide in that moment if I'm gonna keep going or if I'm gonna put the game down. But like the goal is to at least play it. It's like if I can get in there, play it, experience it as much as my limitations will allow me to experience it. I think that's the biggest goal. Some of those games for sure, I'm like, okay, you have to beat that. Like Indie. Indie was okay, you have to beat this. You're
Yeah, you're an
way too
Indiana Jones
yeah.
fan. You're invested at this point, you know?
Yeah, or like the Doom games. It's like, okay, there's no technical limitation here other than my own enjoyment. And those games are not long. It's not like, Doom is a, 50 to 100-hour experience where you're going to be in there for hours and hours upon end doing side quests. It's like, no, this is like a 10, 15-hour game. So just buckle in there for the 10 or 15 hours and get it done. Then you're getting your money's worth at least there.
So on the Doom side of the fence, though, let's talk about the backlog a little bit. Like you have the Steam Deck there to be kind of like the backlog killer, like the backlog
Yes.
manager in a bit. So I'm like, do you feel like that is a game you're going to want to play on your Steam Deck, or you want to experience something like Doom on a bigger screen?
Yeah, so the thing with Doom, especially, as we talked beforehand about gaming mice and aiming and all that stuff, it's like that is bread and butter of okay, this is a classic FPS experience. So it's like for the classic FPS experience, yeah, I want to run it fully on M&K and on that 1440 OLED monitor, like I want the full like I'm very excited. I haven't gotten to it yet because I've been working on some of the what I consider the more lofty goals on the backlog. But like, yeah, Doom, I'm like, I'm very excited to experience Doom the Dark Ages on like a legit setup, like a setup that
Yeah.
is like this game is made to be played on like a 5090 with a high-end CPU on a really nice monitor. So I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited to get in there and do that.
So is this like remind me, did you get your completion of the what is it, Doom Eternal and the first and Doom 2016?
So I did Doom 2016, but I did that
Okay.
quite a while ago. But I loved Doom 2016, which is ironic because everybody's like, well, you might feel differently about Eternal and Doom the Dark Ages because they're different games,
They are. They're a different
which
beast.
to a degree I'm looking forward to because I enjoyed Doom 2016 so much. I'm like, cool, I'm ready to experience something different, but something, So yeah, I still haven't finished Eternal because definitely got sucked back into Destiny for some things as well as because Renegades landed very well, but yeah,
The
I
force was strong with it.
the force was surprisingly very strong with it. It was a very pleasant surprise. So was starting Doom Eternal, and then I was like, well, okay, well, maybe I need to go back to some Destiny for a little bit. But we will be making our way back to Doom Eternal to hopefully knock that out.
So Doom Eternal, like I wasn't quite as enamored with Eternal as I was like the Dark Ages. Like I found myself liking Dark Ages more because I think like Eternal felt like it had a lot more platforming elements that I didn't necessarily love. Meanwhile, Eternal feels grounded. It's more like it made me feel like I'm a heavy character, and for some reason that really resonated with me. It's not quite apples to apples, but it felt like Eternal was more bouncy, almost Mario-esque in the way that I was like
Yes.
bouncing from platformer to platformer. Meanwhile, like in this, I feel like it's a little bit traditional Doom mixed in with like Gears of War heaviness, you know?
Yes, and the phrase that I hear constantly mentioned with Doom, because and this is where I was worried that audience members might be like, no, 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 Doom is a 50 to 100-hour game. What are you talking about? And it's because people talk about they call it the Doom dance, where it's like, you'll get through a mission, but like you want to go back through it on a harder difficulty level and really perfect the Doom dance and perfect sort of the encounter, so that way it's like you get the true Doom experience. I don't know if I'm built for that. I
I'm
mean,
not
I,
built.
I
I'm
mean,
not.
I am built for it in the terms of, I would think, technical ability. I think I could probably hold my own in there relatively well, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think I want to do the time investment. I think that's the big thing, you know? If I find the game really, really fun, then yeah, maybe I might be interested in going back through it. But that's sort of the other thing with the backlog, is it keeps me honest, you know, because there are so many games on there. I find myself not falling into lulls. So I have fallen into a bit of a lull with Jedi Survivor because I'm so infatuated by wanting to explore everything. I'm like, show me where this is. Show me where this is. Okay, where does this lead? You know, what is this? What is this? And so because I was spending so much time doing that, it was like I would play for like 2 hours and not do anything other than like one area. And I'm like, okay, I would feel like my time was dragging, and I'm like, it's only dragging because I'm doing it to myself. So my goal is this weekend to finish Jedi Survivor, and I'm making it a point to be like, okay, just get in there, get through it, and then if you want to go back and do the exploring stuff, you can go back and do the exploring stuff, but focus on getting through the main story, because that really is where the time investment should be.
So let me ask you, it's like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. How much would you basically be willing to pay out of your own pocket for a Star Trek quality game that is basically like Star Wars Jedi Survivor at this point?
Huh. I don't know. I don't know if I would. Cuz like Star Trek is so different, you know? Star Trek is so I will say for the exploration stuff, and then maybe if you threw in like Indiana Jones, I think, would be the good comp. Like if they
Okay.
made a Star Trek style game, like an indie game, 100% would be all over that. I think that would be brilliant.
Because you have investigative elements there. You can do like
Yeah,
maybe some puzzling there,
yeah, the puzzle solving, like maybe using
different biomes.
a little science knowledge to try to figure some stuff out, as opposed to sort of actiony stuff, maybe some more stealthy stuff, maybe some more diplomatic stuff. I think that would be brilliant.
Mission complete.
So you finally finished Indiana Jones. Your
Yes.
almost 6 to 8 month crusade is finally over at this point. How do you feel?
Feels good. Again, it's insane to me how close I was to the finish. I just didn't finish the game. Um, I yeah, I thought the game itself is a lot of fun. The game is gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely one of the best looking games I think I've ever played. There were a couple of times where I was like, am I just in an Unreal Tech demo? Because this is what it feels like right now. Really felt that when I was doing my gosh, there's the big temple, and oh my god, I'm forgetting the
Is this the
whole.
Giza one, or is this
No, no, no,
the
no, no.
after Giza?
Yeah, after Giza, it's the temple towards the end of the game, and
Oh,
there's
yeah, yeah, gotcha.
the water puzzles. And that first water puzzle that you do, I was running around in there and I'm like, this looks like an Unreal Tech demo. Like, this is just insane level textures. This game is absolutely gorgeous. I was like, this is crazy. But yeah, the set pieces for the game are beautiful. The combat I still found to be janky, but you know,
Yeah,
it's passable enough to where I'm like, okay, there's definitely enjoyment there. There's definitely challenge there too, which is good, which I really didn't feel like was there early in the game. But yeah, the story is great, the exploration is great, the puzzles are great and satisfying. I think the game is excellent. The soundtrack is excellent.
I think the soundtrack is probably the soundtrack, and then cutscenes are probably my favorite part. I actually probably would have preferred this to be a movie if I'm being honest than a video game.
But yeah, the game, it's I think one of the best single player experiences I've had in a while. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to go back through and do the exploration properly, because there's definitely puzzles and stuff I wanted to do. as well as the DLC. So I'm excited to go back and do some of those things after getting through more of the backlog. But yeah, the game is a lot of fun. I was very impressed by it. Uh, Definitely have changed my rating from, I think at the time when I was in the Vatican, what did I gave it like a six and a
Yeah.
half or something. This is like an 8.5 or 9, I think.
Whoa, that's a drastic change.
That's what, like, you were not wrong though when you said the Vatican is easily the
worst part
worst
of the game.
area in the entire game. And it's like, why did you put this at the forefront? Like, I understand from a story perspective, that's why it's at the forefront of the game. But like from a gameplay perspective, it's terrible compared to the rest of the game. Like the game really, like the best area really is Giza. I mean,
I think so. I do
the
too.
exploration, the set pieces, it feels the most Indiana Jones. It's absolutely phenomenal.
I think my favorite set piece moments were when you were, what was it? I think it was the air raid moments where you get the
Yeah.
teleportation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teleportation into the city.
Yeah, the teleportation stuff was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed that really Indy really had no impact on the story, which is classic Indiana Jones.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, like, they really didn't even need to be there kind of thing. I thought my frustration was the final mission is awesome. Like the set piece is awesome. The cutscenes are incredible. The story is incredible. But my God, that boss fight was horrible. Like,
Absolutely
just
terrible.
really, really, really poorly executed. Like, I found myself being like, I really don't want to do this boss fight. What I want to see is how this all plays out, as opposed to sitting here and punching the same guy
Over and
for
over and
15
over
minutes.
again. Yes.
And I did some reading online afterwards because I was like, surely I can't be the only person that felt this way. And it turns out that, yeah, anybody that was, or most people that were playing on hard turned the difficulty off or turned it down to easy or whatever because they're
And
like,
just mowed through it.
yeah, they're like, I don't want to sit here and fight this dude. What I really want to do is see how this all plays out. And there were a couple times where I was like, I have been punching this guy for 10 minutes. And I'm like, I get that that's what, this is supposed to be a difficult fight, and that's fine. There's ways to make it difficult, but it's like sitting there and punching the same guy for 10 minutes is
That's
not
not
fun.
good level design.
No,
That's
it's
not
not.
good, like,
Yeah. It
that's not good
wasn't good
gameplay.
boss. Yeah, it wasn't good gameplay. It wasn't good boss design. I was like, this really detracted from how the game ended because it's like, yeah, the ending's really cool, but it's like I was sitting there during the ending being like, finally, as opposed to actually just enjoying what was going on. But yeah, I think the game is sensational.
So, do you want more Indiana Jones from Machine Guns, or do you want, like, Wolfenstein?
No, I want more indie. Like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think that if they're going to do more of these, I think that would be brilliant. I think clearly for them was a labor of love. Like they put a lot of thought and sorry.
She was just right in my face
She's
during
just
that.
right in your face. It very clearly was a labor of love. They invested a lot into making sure that, you're getting an experience that is, feels very true to indie. So yeah, I would love to have more of these because to a degree, I think this is better than anything else we're gonna get in terms of Indiana Jones content.
For sure, this is way better than the modern movies.
Yeah, I don't want to see the movies rebooted using a different actor. Like Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. I don't,
It feels too
Harrison
sacred
Ford.
for you?
Yeah, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. That's just the way it is. They are one and the same. So to
So
have anybody,
you prefer to, like, basically that be the end of everything, as opposed to the James Bond method to where, like, there's
yes,
a new person playing Bond all the time?
yeah, no, yeah, no, 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 no. It is only Harrison Ford, and I think, and clearly they've proven, or Bradley has proven that as long as they sound pretty damn close to being Harrison Ford, you'll believe that it's Harrison Ford. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to see just a complete continuation of Harrison or Indiana Jones told through video games as the medium as opposed to anything else.
So, do you want like a sequel of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to be the same length, or do you think you want it shorter? You want a longer experience?
But I thought the length was
Okay,
pretty good. Again, I feel like the length of the game it's kind of like Jedi Survivor, right? It's as fast or as slow as you want to make it.
that is true.
Think I think if you commit to I am going to bull rush the main story, you will be bull rushing the main story in like 5-6 hours and you will be done.
That's how I had to do it, man. I'm not like enamored with Indiana Jones, nor like I like a huge I want to explore all this area and also do all the stealth stuff
Yeah.
because I didn't necessarily love the stealth in this game. It was serviceable, but I didn't love it. So I'm like, I was just like, I got to the point after Giza, I think the next big set piece was like we were the river, right? Like when you were rowing down the
Yes.
river.
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
remember if that's
after
the Amazon.
Giza is
It's been a minute for me.
no, yeah, you're good. After Giza is
That's the ice, the
yeah,
submarine part. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, the battleship that's
Yeah,
in
thank you,
Nepal
thank you.
and then Japan and then it goes to Sukhothai.
And then
Um
that's where you're rowing
yes.
down the river. Yeah, that's I was thinking in the form of, like, the areas you can explore as far as, like, the semi-open areas, like,
Yeah.
those there's, like, 3 main ones, right? If I
Yes.
remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah, the three main being Vatican, Giza, and Sukhothai.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like by the time I got to Sukukai, I was like, I'm beelining the rest of this bad boy." I'm like, I could not just do this, all
I
over again.
I don't blame you actually. Like Giza, I got out a lot of my exploration, like or at least wanting to explore in the moment. Like
Mhm.
I got that all out in Giza.
Yeah, I was right there too.
Whereas by the time I got to Sukhothai, I was like, okay, I kind of just want to finish this. And then, which is a shame because some of the best puzzles are in Sukhothai. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, it's one of those things. I'm happy that you can go back and replay all of it because, yeah, I want to go back and do all the puzzles and figure everything out because, yeah, it's absolutely sensational.
And so, on a technical level, like, how is this game? Because you're always benchmarking, like benchmarking and testing out different PC builds and kind of tinkering with your own different PCs in your house. How does this game feel like? I know, like, Cyberpunk is like the benchmark game nowadays, but like, how does this stack up with major benchmark games?
It stacks up really well. The big thing about benchmarking games that makes things difficult, and this is why Cyberpunk is really sort of an easy go-to, is because Cyberpunk has a built-in benchmark, kind of like Black Myth Wukong, right? So like when you set your graphic settings, you can always load up the benchmark and it'll tell you how it performs. So it gives you a consistent baseline that you can sort of base it off of. Indie also kind of gives you that. So the way that I've always measured indie is that opening sequence.
Mhm.
It is the same sequence, it's the same area, it's the same vegetation, it's the same number of NPCs. So yeah, just measuring as you walk through, okay, so if I'm running full ray tracing on a 9070 XT, this is roughly the FPS experience that I'm going to get walking through this section. And it gives you a pretty good idea not necessarily how to play out over the entire game because I haven't really done, before and after comparisons, but it gives you a pretty good idea though of how it looks, at least for that area in terms of playability. And so even for things like the B580, it was pretty measurable there too, which was nice.
So you mentioned a little bit ago that this weekend looks like your major game that you're going to strike off, at least attempt to strike off of the backlog list, Jedi Survivor. What's that?
Yes.
What's next on the backlog list after Jedi Survivor? Do you know?
No, so that's the thing I'm like,
It's wide open.
it's wide open, and that's the thing I'm kind of tinkering with, where I'm like, okay, after Jedi Survivor's done, do we just go full in on Elden Ring? Do we try to push to beat that? Do we load up Black Myth Wukong because it's in a similar vein? We're working on that skill set. Like, is
Okay.
that something that we push for? Or do we just entirely change everything and go Kingdom Come Deliverance? Or do we go
Wow.
the Mass Effect collection, because that's another thing that's on there. Do I try
That's
to
so
knock out
good.
some of the shorter titles? Like, do I try to make a push on Hades and Hades 2? Do I try to push for, the Doom games? I don't know. It's open, which is what I kind of like. I kind of like that by the end of Jedi Survivor, I will kind of have the freedom to be like, okay, well, what's next, and sort of choose my own adventure from there.
Do you have like outside? You're normally playing like all these games are all in like an orbit that's circling the sun that is Destiny, pretty much. So I'm like, Destiny is pretty much the sun, and
Yes.
all the rest of them are sort of like orbiting, and you're just making like minor pit stops along the way
Yes.
as you live life. So I'm like, do you have like a taste buds kind of like feeling of what you kind of like? Outside of Jedi Survivor, this is probably what I've been in the mood for lately.
Not really, because even unfortunately for me, Destiny has come back. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Voldemort. Even when it's dead, it's not really dead. So yeah, it's kind of day by day. It's that's the other thing too, is I'm trying to, which is a terrible way to approach some of these games. So like, I know with Mass Effect and I know with Kingdom Come Deliverance, because they are RPGs. If you want to get the full value out of those games, you got to be a little committed to being like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to invest this many hours in, I'm going to do this, every day, and I need to consistently play it in order to A, understand where I am in the story, and B, actually get the true value out of playing it. It's not like you can't play, Kingdom Come Deliverance for 30 minutes and get value out of it, really. It's a time investment, because
No,
it's
for
a
sure not.
story-based game. It's meant to be a very immersive experience. So I know that when I get to those, it's like, okay, this is a commitment. With Elden Ring and kind of Black Myth Wukong, I think some of the benefits, and same with like the Doom games and Hades, it's like, yeah, I can invest an hour in this and then come back to it the next day, come back to it a couple days later, and not really lose a whole lot in terms of time investment, or at least being lost or feeling like I'm not fully committed to it. So yeah, I know that when I get to those games, it's like, okay, this is gonna have to be a sit down. You are committing to play this, and you really need to like not start multiple games at once and actually sit down and play this if you're gonna do it.
So I'm curious before we go and talk about like the main topic, I guess, of this episode, which is the Steam Machine news. I got a game here. I want to see if you heard of it, and two, a lot of people are excited in the PC side of the fence because they think it might be the next Cyberpunk as far as like benchmarking and all that kind of goes, because it's a big beefy boy. Have you seen anything of Crimson Desert, which is coming out next month?
No, I don't know if I have.
Okay, so let me just give you the general overview. This is a game that is sort of like amalgamation. Imagine I have a giant blender, and Crimson Desert is like Zelda with Sky Islands as far as Tears of the Kingdom and puzzle elements, mixed in with Assassin's Creed RPG gameplay, mixed in with the storytelling and side quest, and also some of the environments of like The Witcher, and all that kind of sounds like it's already doing a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then you add in an open world that's extremely huge from what they're touting. It's supposed to be largely expansive. There's sky islands, there's like a huge continent for you to explore, and then there's also, like a lot of different, there's so much there that they give you different mounts to basically, you have a Batman like cape that you can kind of use as your glider in a way, and then like there's also a dragon, and you also have a mech machine in this game. I
That's
don't
crazy.
I don't know if you're seeing this, but like there's a lot that's kind of going on with Crimson Desert. But evidently this was a MMO they've made a single player experience out of, that's coming out this year. It was one of the most highly anticipated games of last year. It got delayed, and now they're pushing it out next month. It is IGN's first, I believe, of this month, and they've been deep diving deep into it. And Apparently, this game is supposed to be ginormous, absolute ginormous. So, how do you think modern PCs can handle a modern Witcher style game?
I would so it comes down to two factors. One is how well is this thing gonna be optimized? Because if it's like if we're dealing with another oh my god, what was the game? Borderlands, was it Borderlands 3 or Borderlands 4? Was the
Yeah,
one that
Borderlands was
just
rough.
yeah, the one that just came out was so poorly optimized that like even fees were struggling to run it, or 4090s. That yeah, that it if it's that level of optimization, it will be bad. Now, if it's something like the optimization level of Battlefield, I mean, then we should be okay. Because surprisingly enough, Battlefield runs extremely well, even on older GPUs. So I'm very curious. It looks like that might be Unreal 5, or at least it looks very similar to Unreal 5. So I'm very curious to see uh, how it'll run. But I mean, it definitely is pretty high-end textures, at least from these trailers that we're seeing. So I'm very curious to see. But I mean, the 50 series and 90 series GPUs will probably be fine, assuming you're not running like a 5050. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to say the least.
Because like they basically said, if you see it, you can explore it at this point. Like it is a sizable, huge map. It is combat galore. It is also side quest heavy and also like mini games heavy, evidently. So it's a huge sprawling game. I don't think they've given us the gigabyte size yet, but I imagine if this bad boy is anywhere under 120, I would be shocked.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely shocked. But in a year that's going to tout GTA and such like that, this might be one of the biggest games of the year as far as like the quality that they're attempting to put in this game.
Yeah, I mean, from the trailer alone, I mean, the
Look at
game
all
looks
this.
gorgeous. I mean, I'll say that much. I was very impressed by like even the like the shield textures. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm very curious to see. I'm even slightly interested from just a gameplay perspective of seeing how it plays out, but I can tell you from a visual perspective, the game is gorgeous.
So you're not normally usually into the Middle Earth or like the more fantasy video games usually, besides Elden Ring lately. Do you think you might give this one a shot?
Potentially, yeah. So that's one of the things I've been working on is being like, sci-fi is great. It's great to be rooted in sci-fi, but it's also okay to like swords and magic, and it doesn't need an explanation. It's okay. Just roll with it.
It doesn't need an explanation. Just the scientific part of your brain can't like turn it off. You're like, how does this work?
No, well, it's twofold. One of it is how does that work? Because yeah, that's one of the things I've always appreciated about Star Trek, right? Is Star Trek is like, this is how this works. Even when they dabble in, the more I'm looking for the word, but they dabble in the more magic stuff, they always have an explanation for it. And they're like, wait, no, this is what actually happened. And then the crew is left wondering, okay, but is it science or is it something else? So yeah, that is one aspect of it. But like even as a kid, I was simple. Like, I was a simple sword and shield man always, or a big axe. Just give me a big axe, it'll be fine. Whereas the older I get, the more I'm like, nah, dabble in the magic. Like,
Yeah,
see what the magic has to offer. There's some cool stuff in there, man. Just don't question it. Just enjoy it.
I like that. I like that. All right, so I want to talk to you about this because we've gotten some news updates, if you will, about the Steam machine, and a lot of all of Valve's like hardware that they announced. What do you think of all that news? Does this feel like, hey, we're reacting to the world around us? Woe is us? Or do you feel like do you feel like they could have managed things a little better? Like, how do you think this news is resting on you for one? And then also, like, how's the general public reacting to it, do you feel?
My general response to your first two questions is yes. So like understand why they didn't do a price announcement
Mhm.
initially because of the volatility that's there right now. But they have also let it go on for so long, especially with some of the prices folks were talking about. so many rumors on prices that, oh, this is going to be a $600 product, or this is going to be a $650 product, and like it's just not realistic, I don't think. And I think they basically confirmed that today. And I do think this product was supposed to be $600 or $650 when they were talking about releasing it. And I think the market has shifted so widely over the last 6 months that they have had to pivot.
That sucks.
It does. I mean, so I remember this was June of last year. So I picked up my 5090 from Micro Center, and I picked it up secondhand, or not secondhand. I picked it up as a certified, open box product from Micro Center, and it was $2,600. And at the time, I was like, "Gosh, that's a lot of money to spend on a GPU. Like, that's brutal." I think this was like in May, and I remember a month later they were dropping a gigabyte model fees at MSRP. And I remember thinking, God, I'm such an idiot. I should have waited. If I really wanted one, I could have had one of the gigabyte models and blah, blah, blah. And I remember seeing 5090s slowly decreasing in price to the point where the Asus Tough OC, which is the model that I have, I remember it got down to 2,800. And I was like, man, I could have had a whole brand new one. It wouldn't even have been open box. I could have had my free copy of it was Doom the Dark Ages at the time was what they were giving
Yeah.
away. I was like, what did I do? And now you can't get them anywhere. And the only price that I'm seeing on a lot of these models is like 3,500. And I mean,
That's
we're talking
ridiculous.
the gigabyte ones are like $3,500. And I'm like, it costs as much now to get the gigabyte model, base model 5090 as it would, 6 months ago to have gotten like the Astral version, and
Mhm.
less, even more than the Astral version, high-end Asus model. And it's just
That's not
insane.
worth it at that price,
No,
right?
that's my thing is the 5090 is it's a couple of things. One, it's a totally unnecessary product. As somebody that owns one, it is not necessary. Unless you're playing at 4K like all the time at max settings, it's not necessary. You don't need it. I got it because I thought it was really cool. Which is a stupid reason, but like, you know what? It's the little things in life that make you happy. And for me, as a tech nerd, it fascinates me. I think it's really cool to have. I love testing it. I love messing around with it to my own folly as I destroy cables and potentially almost destroy the GPU.
No.
Yeah. But like, that's the fun in it. Whereas I if you had told me that you're looking at a $3,500, in the some case of some 5090s are well up over $4,000 now. I know the Astrals are, I think, $4,400 or $4,500 now. Like, that's ridiculous.
Jeez.
Like, that's a whole ass gaming PC. Like,
For real.
like that is a PC that you should be buying that should cover you for the next 5 to 7 years, as opposed to
Minimum.
just being a GPU. You see it in 5080 prices now. I mean, entry level fees that were not even 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or even 2 months ago during the winter sales a lot of places were having, where you could get a 5080 for like $950. They are now entry level $1,500. I mean,
That's ridiculous.
the prices are just absurd. I mean, SSDs are the same way. They've moved
Yeah, that's
from
sad.
the 2 terabyte SSDs being like 150 to $200 to now they're 450, 500. RAM is up in that same stratosphere as well. And I understand why Valve wanting to release this product, a really cool ITX computer that's a great entry level product, being like, yeah, we can't release this at $600. It's just not feasible. Because, yeah, the market has shifted so wildly. until the bubble pops, which we don't know when that is. I've been listening to some economists say, "Oh, it's already started." I'm like, okay, but can it hurry up?
Yeah, for real. I was like, when are we actually going to see this bubble popping? At this point.
Yeah, we're just not going to see the prices return. And that's sort of the discussion, is a lot of these companies, have found a way to increase the prices. The demand won't be met until, a lot of cases, especially like in terms of memory and things, until 2027, 2028, because that's when a lot of them are opening up new fabs and things. It's like it just continues to snowball to where I don't think the prices are going to return back to a point to where they're going to be affordable until we move on to other generations. And even when we move on to other generations, it might have started a whole new price point. To a degree, I do feel sympathy for Valve. At the same time, as I said, they should have said, this is the price that we're aiming for. Unfortunately, we're going to have to increase the price because of these factors, as opposed to letting people, some
Still on it.
folks, yeah, because some folks really reaching, oh, it's going to cost as much as an Xbox. And I'm like,
Hey, nowadays an Xbox costs as much as a used car, so
but like, especially with I think all the rumors that are coming out about the next Xbox being like $1,200. It's like, holy,
that sounds ridiculous too.
it's like, it's so tough to where I think Valve did, as much as I love Valve, I do think that they did slightly mismanage people's expectations. As I think I also warned initially, it was like, they did double down on the 4K stuff, which I was like, okay, I'll see when I get it in my hands. But I was like, again, real skeptical about your 4K claims and how this is going to look, because it might be ugly.
I think a lot of people were hoping for the upscaling though, like to
Yeah.
really to bridge that gap, and because I'm gonna be honest with you, if I get it on a gorgeous looking TV at that point and it's upscaled and looks nice, I don't think I really care.
No, that's the thing though. So this is where it's quite painful. So,
Yeah,
as you're well aware, and as listeners are not, with the leftover parts that I have had from all of my shenanigans and sales and things, I built a mini ITX computer that was essentially very similar, if not identical, in a lot of aspects to the budget PC that I think that we put together last
yeah, for
summer.
sure.
I put it through testing. I was curious, and it really struggled at 1080p in games like Jedi Survivor. And we're
That's
talking about a
rough.
GPU that is better than the GPU that's in the Steam, or the Gabe Cube, if you would. Um, and I found myself, I've always turned on upscaling, right? A lot of games suggest that you turn on upscaling, especially quality level upscaling. I personally don't notice the difference a lot of times. In fact, I actually at some points think that a DLSS actually looks better than native in some cases, because it stops the sort of the resolution scaling that's happening that the developers haven't necessarily optimized as well as DLSS. But yeah, I was playing. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what game I was playing, but I turned it on. It might have been Survivor, where I turned it on a pretty low quality XeSS 2.0, where I was like, this is the only way I'm going to get this game to function at, 60 or 70 FPS with ray tracing on.
That's
And
rough.
it just did not look good. It was like, I was playing this and I'm like, this just looks terrible. Oh, the other place this happened was in Indiana Jones. So Sukhothai is a super demanding visual area, and it's a very poorly optimized area. And so on my 5090 at 1440p, I had upscaling on naturally. I had to turn down upscaling to get it so that it would operate above 60 FPS in some parts. And it just looked like a blurry, horrible mess. And I was like, if this is what's happening on a 5090, how on earth are they expecting something like the Gabe Cube to be able to do these areas? And I don't see how they're going to do it unless you're playing on really low settings with tons of upscaling on. And when you're playing at low settings by default, it just doesn't look that great to begin with. And then
Do
on
you think
top of
they're
oh, go ahead.
hoping that optimization is, like, going to bridge a lot of that gap? Because I was like, EA is one thing. I'm like, EA with Jedi Survivor, because a lot of people joked around about, like, how the game crashed on
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 and such like that when it was firstly launched. And then there was Borderlands, of course, in 2K, they kind of do their own little funky thing sometimes. And, a lot of that looks absolutely god awful. But then you have other games on that side of the fence to where I'm like, they optimize so well that
Yeah.
you don't even feel that, like, oh, I'm running this on old ass hardware, whereas like examples being like maybe like a Square Enix, they've optimized Final Fantasy pretty well. Sometimes it ran a little rough on Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 Rebirth, I believe is from what I was hearing. Then there was other instances to where like games are optimized really well though, like to where you don't quite feel the blow of like, oh, I'm running on hardware that feels like I'm a caveman basically and trying to get a rock to basically run
Yeah.
technology at that point.
I definitely think that's a factor because one of the things I that I actually you bringing it up didn't make me account for that actually does help Valve is one of the great things about the Steam Deck is a lot of those games that are deck compatible are games that had to be optimized for the Steam Deck. So like they
Yeah,
put
for
it
sure.
on developers. They're like, "Hey, here's our closed system. Can you get it to work? Um, can you get it to work on our Steam Deck in order to be able to play it?" And sure enough, even companies like Bethesda have managed to get games like Oblivion, the Oblivion remaster, to work on Steam Deck and work relatively well. Now, it might be a whole different ball game getting the game to work at 4K,
Yeah, for sure.
on the Steam Deck. But yeah, I do have there definitely is some degree of optimization that companies can do to do that. My other big concern with the Steam Deck is, and you can see it there, and a semi-custom RDNA 3 AMD GPU. RDNA 3 does not get access to FSR 4. It only has access to FSR 3. And AMD has not been forward about whether FSR 4 access is going to come to older gens of RDNA 3, and if it does, how well it's going to run. And you could go look at the video comparisons that Hardware Unbox has done on YouTube between FSR 4 and FSR 3, but there is a huge quality difference in upscaling quality between FSR 3 and FSR 4, which I mean makes sense, right? Every version of new upscaling that comes along for these companies should hopefully improve. But yeah, so that's another concern of mine where I'm like, okay, that's great that we're going to have upscaling in here, but if it's going to be FSR3 quality, that's a bummer. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's a it's not a looker. It's just not a looker in comparison to some of these other upscaling options. That being said, my only beef with the Gabe Cube is strictly their K claims. I think that this is a great product. Continue to maintain that I think this is a great product. I think it will help get tons of people through the door in an accessible way into PC gaming
That's
on
a
the
win.
Steam. Yeah, and to me that's a win. The only thing I'm skeptical about with this device is for the 4K gaming claims. That's the one where I'm like, okay, hold up. Let me see. Show me the data. Show me the money. Because I need to see how this all works out.
I'm curious though. I'm like, do you think the not having Windows is going to help things
Yes.
considerably?
Yes. God, yes.
Because I was just like, I'm not saying it'll make games run better, like
No,
to
it
the
will.
umpteenth
Yeah.
degree, but
No.
like,
Yeah.
you
No,
think
it
so?
will. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the one thing that has been confirmed that actually has been confirmed on the Steam Deck is if you run similar hardware as to what's on the Steam Deck, but you run it on Windows, it runs worse. And the way that we figured that out is folks downloaded Windows onto their Steam Deck. So they wiped off, the Steam OS, replaced it with Microsoft, ran the same games, and got something they got like 15% worse performance. So there are definitely things that are working in Valve's favor here. So potentially because Valve is Valve and Steam is Steam, they can work with developers to be like, hey, this is how your game needs to function on our device. Here's a closed system. Here's how you can do this, right? So there's that optimization side, plus Steam OS working in its favor. Maybe that's how they're getting those 4K numbers with upscaling, depending on the quality of upscaling. But
Yeah.
with upscaling. So there are things that are working in favor of this product. It's just, again, I'm skeptical of the 4K, but I think it's a great product. I think that's the big thing I don't want to get lost is I think the Gabe Cube is a win for gamers.
I wonder though, it's like it's a win for gamers until we see that price point. And then it's like that price point. I know it's out of their control, but it's going to be hard seeing anything over 700, and people are going to get sticker shock.
Interesting.
I think people are like, I think for the audience and who they are targeting, like specifically who they're targeting with this, like you hardcore PC gamers, y'all already have a niche. Like you already have like hardcore PCs and such like that.
That's true.
This is just add-ons. So I'm like, this isn't a mandatory purchase for like hybrid people to where like, or people who are on that bubble specifically of like, I want to get into PC gaming, but I don't really want to deal with like the PC side of PC gaming. This is perfect for them. Those people are also accustomed to buying all their tech in this same realm under $500 for the most part, except for, the recent, I think Xbox is now at 750 and PlayStation's flirting with 600. So I'm like, but for the most part, at starter MSRP, when these things are announced, under $500. So I'm like, starting that off in a plus 700 world, and when you're already hearing the specs may not exactly be the highest end of what you're buying, is going to be, I think, a sticker shock moment. It's like like people who want to get into I would say sports cars, but then they actually see the sports car price. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're like, damn, my wallet ain't built like that. So I'm like, I think it's gonna be sticker shock.
That's what I was gonna say. Is when you said under 700, I was like, oh.
Yeah, for sure. I know realistically, I'm like, I'm like, at this point with Rampocalypse going on, 850 is probably, yeah, it's bad. With Rampocalypse and the SSD stuff, I'm like, okay, and I'm seeing 850, in my head, and I'm like, if anything, if it gets under 900, I think a lot of people should be thankful at this point. But
that's what I was gonna say. Is when you said 700, I was like, I'm thinking this is like an $800, $850 product now. I think it has just been pushed to a point where I'm like, maybe. And I will give this as a kernel of hope to people so that, they don't get too bummed out. Maybe it hits $700. That is really pushing it. I think it's gonna be damn near impossible to hit 700. Like if Valve does it, then I think it's a must buy. I think that there will not be a greater product on the market that is offered at that entry level price than if this thing is $700. If
so you would get it.
Well, so full send, I am getting this anyways for a number of reasons. One, I am fascinated by the design. I think
for sure.
For what this is,
it
is the Gabe Cube is incredible. For what it is incredible. And I am fascinated by what it is. I want to benchmark the hell out of it. I want to also get a feel for Steam OS because I would like to get the hell off of Windows because Windows is horrible. It is a horrible, horrible, horrible product. Windows 11 is terrible on so many levels. I cannot tell you how mad I get when I open up Task Manager to close out a program and I see that how much of my RAM is being wasted on Copilot. It just, I'm like, I'm not even using you. Go away.
I was talking to you about Task Manager before we got on, man. It is legitimately annoying. But I wonder though. It's like I just wonder about like the audience perception. You know, like
Yeah.
the hardest of hardcore, because like I think on the hardest of hardcore, like hardcore PC gamers, like a lot of y'all are going to want this, you know, just for what you said, the benchmarking, the actual like deep diving. This might not even be your day to day thing because you still have your beefy, bulky PCs. You know, like you still got your big boys over there. So I'm like, this might not even be that. But I'm like, so they got your money. I wonder the step below that, the hardcore gamer who wants to get into PC, how do you swallow that $800 to $1,000 like sticker price? That's a rough one.
That's the thing where I'm like, I don't know if you can, because I've talked to friends who are console users who are like, I will not be buying the next Xbox. Like it's
Oh yeah, but
like
that's
if
ecosystem thing too, though.
yeah.
Xbox is giving them a lot of reasons not to really
Oh yeah. But
demand.
the big thing that's drawing my friends away from Xbox is they're like, I $1,200 for a console is not feasible. They're
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
that it's not a price point I'm comfortable with. It's not a price point I'm willing to go to. It's not something I'm willing to invest. And I'm like, I totally understand. Like $1,200 is rent money.
Yeah, that is a whole for a lot of people. That's a whole month. You know.
Yeah, that's a whole month of rent for a hobby. That's a frigging commitment.
I think at 1,200 you might as well just go PC. Like at 1,200 you're pretty much there. You know, like you're pretty much there. You
Don't tempt
know.
me. Don't disagree. Will say that as somebody who often spends far too much time looking at PC hardware, and as somebody who spends far too much time looking at places like Newegg and Micro Center, like I sent you that PC the other day on Discord that
Oh, it was
was what?
gorgeous.
It was
Yeah.
$700 or $600 or something, and I was like, dude, what? Like this is like a $600, $700 computer that comes with 16 gigs of RAM, comes with a 5060 and a decent gaming CPU.
It
I'm
felt
like,
like they were clearing out inventory,
yeah.
basically.
And it's like when you have something that's essentially the price of a modern console right now that is better than a modern console right now that you can get for half the price of or the half the projected price of the next Xbox. It's like, what are we even doing? Like it just makes it makes it hard. I just I really, really, really hope that the Gabe Cube, I'm totally blanking on it. It's not the Steam Deck, it's the
Steam
Steam
machine, yeah.
Machine. Thank you. I'm really hoping that the Steam Machine is at a price point that makes sense for hopefully most people, and I'm hoping that the consoles aren't as bad as they're projecting, because yeah, at the same time, as much as I'd be happy to have a bunch of people to come over to PC, at the same time, I'm like, consoles serve a purpose of being affordable and being easy and, being a simple way for folks to have access to gaming, which is, I think, the most important thing. And yeah, I really hope that the Steam machine is able to offer that the way that, some of these PC deals even do. Because yeah,
I so
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really curious because some of these I was kind of like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, do some of these games that people are going to want to play, like in the next, let's just say 12 to 16 months, are some of those going to be Steam Machine verified? Because I think they said they're probably adding a verification sticker for Steam Machine as well, like they have Steam Deck verified, on Steam.
Yeah,
So, I'm like, are those games going to be verified? Because I'm looking at like Baldur's Gate is already Steam Deck verified. It's just, they advise, hey, the reading might be a little small, so watch out. I'm
yeah,
like, that's one people will come back to. I think, but like the in upcoming games, I would say the new Fable. Have you seen the trailer for the new Fable, by the way?
I have, yeah. Which I am a fan of Fable, so I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I know that it's not the same developer. I know that it's a new
Nah, it's not.
developer. And I don't know how much of that development team was the original Fable folk, but I
I
am
don't think a
curious to
lot.
see it.
I,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot because I think Lion's Head, I don't think is no longer
Yeah.
operational. But I mean, on the plus side, this is the same team that did Forza, and yeah, and they've actually done really well with the Forza games. I don't know how well that's going to translate to a open world RPG there, but
Yeah.
fingers
But
crossed.
yeah, I'm very we'll see. The one thing I will say is, especially with it being RDNA 3, we know how well RDNA 3 functions within the current sphere of gaming. So if folks are really interested, right, you can go look up how a similar spec PC performs and then sort of adjust from there, right? Okay, if I have optimization and if I have upscaling and if I have the Linux benefit, like how much does this improve my gaming experience? And then sort of determine if that's worth the price that they're looking at paying. I mean, that is sort of the nice thing is all of the information is out there, right? So like when we did
Yeah,
the couple of pods ago, I mean, you could basically project how well the Steam machine performs in comparison to tech that's already out there.
yeah. You're just missing some of the optimization stuff, and other than that, you're good.
Yeah, it'll tell you basically as a worst case scenario, okay, if I'm playing this game at this resolution at a worst case scenario, how does this CPU GPU combination perform? And then as well as a best case scenario, right? In the case of overclocking and stuff, that's the other thing I'm very curious to see is how much, Steam will allow you to do those things, right? Can you overclock your GPU within the BIOS? Does it even come with a BIOS, right? I'm very curious to see how much access you'll have to things. But yeah, like it's gonna be very interesting to see depending on price point what folks think. But yeah, I mean you can already start to kind of gauge now, okay, if it is $750, am I okay playing Cyberpunk at this specific frame rate? And if so, then
I think a lot of people are okay with, I think it was somewhere between 4K, like not 4K 60, but somewhere between 4K 30 and 4K 60 on the Switch 2 edition of
yeah.
Cyberpunk. And I was just like, a lot of people are just enamored with that like port because it runs well. It's not necessarily like ultra settings by any means,
Yeah.
but yeah, people love it though.
Yeah, so I'm like, you can sort of start to project, okay, let's say you're a big League of Legends fan, right? Okay, well, you could probably go and look up people that are running similar setups with similar CPUs and GPUs to see what their average frame rates are, what settings they're currently playing on, and then sort of project from there. Okay, am I okay paying I'm gonna say $50 for the
Phew.
Steam machine to get that frame rate. And if you are, then your problem solved. It's okay. But yeah, it's gonna be something that folks are gonna have to figure out. It's not like console, right? Like console, it's like every game you play on console is gonna run it. Well, aside from a couple
Yeah.
very big standouts. But as every game that you play on console is gonna be 60 FPS. You're gonna be able to run it at the exact same settings. It's gonna run basically the same way every single time you run it. Of course, there are outliers depending on optimization and bugs and glitches and those things, as well as how well you maintain your hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have an idea. Whereas, unfortunately, with PC gaming, you don't really know until you know,
Yeah.
and that's
And
sort of the
sometimes it hurts to
difficulty.
know.
It does. It really does. Putting together that B580 build really put things in perspective of, when you're on NVIDIA, you don't really worry about how well games are optimized at P because it's not everybody already optimizes for NVIDIA because it's been around for a long time. You have access to usually the highest versions of DLSS. It's usually pretty straightforward, but when you're on an Intel Arc GPU, it's not as it's like I had to really mess around with the settings to get things to work specifically in Jedi Survivor in order to get decent frame rates. I was like, wow, this is actually a lot of work for especially folks that don't know what's going on, it would be even worse.
Yeah, they I saw a joke the other day where they were like, "Man, tinkering with my Intel build and like getting the settings right on some of these games is sort of like I didn't go ahead and pre-purchase my ticket on the airline, and now I'm waiting and waiting at the back while everyone else like boards."
Yeah. It can, especially the big one is the 12th through 14th gen Intel CPUs. So like I purchased a 14th gen Intel CPU last in December
Mhm.
because there was a really good deal at Micro Center, and the 14900K is a incredible CPU, and so I was really excited to get in there. Uh, 12th through 14th gen Intel was famous for burning itself out. So like if you didn't update your BIOS and you didn't, or if you did update your BIOS and you turned off the safety features, it would crank the voltage to hit like some really crazy boost speeds.
That's
It
sick.
would, it would like it would pump in some voltage, and my top, we're talking like high end voltage on my Ultra 7 26K, which is not a weak CPU by any stretch of the imagination, was like 1.2, like 1.2 volts roughly.
Oh, so it
But
was
when I,
safe.
yeah, it was safe. But like when I run that 4K, I turned off the safety settings just because I was curious. I was like, hey, what can this thing do? And it would hit 1.75 volts. I was like, turn it
Yeah.
off, turn it off.
You were about to run to the outlet in the wall and
Yeah.
be like,
So yeah, I mean, it can be daunting. It's the one thing that, as much as I am happy for folks to come to PC, that is the benefit of the Gabe Cube as opposed to something that you get on, some other pre-built is, you are in a very closed system that is similar to console. But yeah, the PC, man, it's kind of the Wild West in terms of what you get sometimes, and can be a little scary if you
yeah.
are not aware of what you're purchasing.
They say you better lean hard into warranties because these things can go really bad real quick.
Yeah, and there are also a couple of actors within the space where it's like you just kind of know to steer clear of. iBuyPower is one that has improved a lot, but there is a
I've
reason
heard so
why
many
they're,
bad things though.
well, that I was about to say there is a reason why their moniker for a long time was called iBuyProblems.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I've heard so many bad things about those people.
yeah, they've talked. They were one of the few companies at CES that talked about consumers, but they
That's so
they
sad.
did.
That's so
It
sad.
is. It's so bad. Don't even get me started on CES. But they did acknowledge, they're like, yeah, we threw a lot of quality control out the window because we're trying to meet the demand of certain things, and now we've reinstigated a lot of quality control, and they're working really hard on changing their brand on being something that isn't faulty. So it's like, okay, as long as you know where you're buying from and you're aware of what you're buying, it helps. But yeah, that's half the problem, or more than half the problem, right? Because like I said, you buy an Xbox and turn it on, it's like you expect it to work. So yeah,
Yeah. So I want to ask you, like you got a lot of things coming up this year. You got good games coming up. You got GTA. A lot of people are looking forward to. A lot of people are looking forward to Crimson Desert. Like I said, Forza, Fable, and all that kind of stuff. You have a special event thing. I bet you're salivating for the World Cup this year. The World Cup.
yeah,
I
oh
bet
yeah.
you're so excited, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, and ironically, reinvigorated very much so by sports gaming recently, where I
What?
I picked up FIFA 26, and for
Wow.
many years I
Did you
was
get
a,
the $30 sale on it?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
did.
I was a dedicated FIFA player for many years, and then totally burned out and stopped playing, and then switched to Destiny. And I picked up FIFA 26 because it was $30 on sale, and I was like, I'm in kind of the mood for, I've been loving Madden. I've been playing Madden 26 lately. It's terrible, but I'm having a good time with my buddy, and
You know what you're
we,
getting yourself into.
yeah, exactly. It's like I know. I was like, all right, I could go for some FIFA, and yeah, it sucked what should have been 40 hours of backlog work into FIFA 26 in a month. And I was like, wow, okay, are
You're
we
back.
back? Are we back a
Yeah.
little bit? So yeah, I'm very excited for the World Cup and very happy. I'd love for them to release, a classic FIFA World Cup game like they did in 2006 and 2010, but they're not going to. They'll just update FIFA 26, but
Oh yeah, for
it's
sure.
okay.
So your journey into I guess what is it called? FC now?
Yes,
What is it called?
FC
Yeah,
26,
FC.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what has it been like this year? Does it
Manager
feel like
mode.
FIFA again? Oh,
It does. So I have always been a dedicated manager player.
same.
I have always adored I always I it's the same rhythm. I always do the same thing. I usually start off with Tottenham because they're my team, Spurs till they kill me. And I take, I do just like a playthrough of
Mhm.
Spurs at sort of the higher end where I'm like, I always play on Legend. I am a very, like I said, very dedicated FIFA player. So I'm like, I'm good at FIFA. And my goal is to like just get a feel for the games. That way, when I go and actually do real manager career mode stuff, then I make sure that I'm doing something that I at least know what I want to do when I do those. So
Mhm.
yeah, right now I just took Tottenham. They just won the Champions League. I think we finished third in the table because we couldn't quite catch up to Arsenal, which I was very disappointed with. No, City won my first year. And yeah, just getting used to the transfers again and building up my tactics and doing all those things. I'm definitely disappointed in some ways, especially in comparison to some other FIFAs in terms of tactics as well as formations. So like you used to be able to customize your formations to whatever you wanted them to be. Now they're definitely closed systems. Like you can only pick certain formations, so you can't sort of adjust formations however you wanted to. Which used to come up with just some broken formations. It was a lot of fun.
I
As
bet that
well,
was entertaining though.
yeah. Oh, it well. So that was my thing. Is I remember when Conte took over at Spurs, he always played a back five, and Spurs played a back five, but they had a lot of center defensive mids. So I
Mhm.
really created like a back seven because I took our center mids, which in FIFA they were rated as center mids, but they were actually center defensive mids. And I would pull them back as center defensive mids. And I created like this impenetrable wall defense because I had 7 people always playing back. And then they would rush forward on the counter, at least my two
Yeah,
center defensive mids. Whereas you can't do that in this one, and I'm very disappointed. I can't. I don't have the freedom to be able to mess around with my positions. Or like another
that
thing that I like
sucks.
to do, depending on my players, was kind of like real football. You don't really have like a set formation. You kind of
Mhm.
have, depending on the skill sets of the players and depending on their roles, sort of dictate where they are on the pitch. And so I would kind of play into that. Whereas if I would run like 3 midfielders, one would be a center attacking mid, one would be an actual true center mid, and the other would be a center defensive mid. It would create this sort of like offset triangle in the middle that then
That's
could play
cool.
off of all of the other players around them. Whereas like you can't do that in this one. And the player roles are far more limited. So they like assign them to archetypes. So it's supposed to be like a
That's boring.
so and so does this and they can either attack or defend. And I'm like, it's just it's
It doesn't hit the
they
same, does it?
no, it doesn't quite hit the same. The gameplay hits really well. I think
That's good.
the gameplay feels a lot more similar to something like FIFA 17 or FIFA 18, which is when I was really, really into it. So I'm very happy with that. But yeah, disappointed that I don't have the full tactics that I can kind of play around with and do stuff with. Transfers are still broken as shit. I mean, I got really excited because they in FC added this thing. They're like, do you want to do real simulations? Where we simulate this league and they make you select leagues that you can run full simulations for. And I was like, wow, I really hope this improves the transfer. No, it improved
Mm-mm.
nothing. I'm like, this is just some stupid gimmick thing that they're pushing on me. Yeah, I was signing like top tier players on free transfers and I'm like, there's no way this guy would be available for a free transfer. I was like, okay, this is a little ridiculous, but it's good fun. It's good fun.
I haven't played since 24 at this point. So that's almost 3 years ago in sports language. And I haven't played since I got fired from being a manager, and the reason why is because I took basketball and football tactics and tried to put it into soccer where it didn't translate apples to apples. So I remember like I saw a lot of these free agents and I was just like, okay, I think I sort of understand the dynamics of what I'm doing on the pitch. And I think this guy's a really good really good striker. And I'm like, okay, he's good defensively. He's going to be good at striking. I can kind of do audibles and sort of get these people in and out. So I signed like 3 to 4 players, and I was dropping these old farts out of my team, like left and right. Get the hell up out of here. You're old. You're past your 30s. You get out of here. And I'm
You're
like,
not gonna call me out like that.
no, I'm 30. I'm in my 30s. So I'm like, I'm in my 30s. So I'm like, in sports language, I was like, you're over the hill. You're over the hill. But anyways, so I'm also playing in the MLS. So it's not like I'm playing in the major leagues of like the world. I'm playing in the major leagues in the United States. So there's a cap there. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'll get good in the major league right here. And then I'll go try to dominate, some of the predominantly bigger and more expensive leagues out there. Anyways, I was playing, I think it was FC Dallas, and they fired me because I was signing players and then I was getting them to take lesser on their contracts. And I'd be like, I got them on the lesser end and such like that, because you can negotiate a little bit. You have a little bit of wiggle room there. And I know I sound like a tyrant, but in basketball, you have a salary cap. In football, you have a salary cap. And I'm trying to stay below the salary cap. And then I could sign me a Patty Mahomes, or I could sign me a Josh Allen. Like I could sign someone big because I kept the salary cap reasonable. And this one, they said I was too cheap. They fired my ass. They let me go. They were like, we don't want to be an organization known for underpaying players. You didn't pay a player what he was perceived as worth. Fire you. You getting a warning. And I'm like, a warning? I just saved us like $2 million. Why are you warning me? I'm like, any given organization in all of the sports that I'm associated with, this is a good thing. This is absolutely a good thing. They were like, and we're winning games. We were on like an 8-game winning streak. So I'm like, where's this coming from? We got 2 players and, signed up for the national team. I'm like, we're on the up and up. I looked at our record last season. We were in the bottom 5. Now I'm like, we're competing. We're healthy. We are an 8th game losing streak. I got cheap like Scrooge McDuck and they fired my ass. And I'm like, what other sport does this?
Yep. FIFA logic is one of those things that has always frustrated me because it's so clearly EA. Like, I remember there was one year, so this was before Newcastle had its takeover. I took over at Newcastle, and when I took over, they were like, hey, we're spending too much money. You need to cut our costs. And I was like, okay, so I sold a bunch of dudes, and I got roughly the spend target where I was. And we won the league. And the next year, they were mad. They were like, we're still spending too much money. And I went, no, we're not spending too much money. I'm
No.
not changing the roster. And we went and won the league again, and then they fired me. And I'm like, hold up. I've won the league twice in a row now, and you fired me because we're spending a little bit over what you wanted? No, this is bullshit.
That's terrible. And I'm like, I don't get this in college football. So that really took me off guard, because in college football,
Yeah.
they give you like, oh, you win. They give you like a little parameter. If you win 5 games, if you're like on a bad team, you have job security for another contract. If you win 10 games, you played college football 25. And I'm like, I know, at least I know what I have to do win and loss wise, and everything in between, they just count as like, do whatever the hell you want. So I'm like, when I got fired for undersigning players, and I was just taken aback. I was just like, I got 3 good players, we're on a win streak, and you fired me. I'm like, I'm out here on the streets, and I got a win streak. What sport does this? I'm like, do you not? Is this Ted Lasso where she didn't want Ted to succeed? I'm like, what is this?
I mean, to a degree, because I just had to think about this myself. I'm like, how realistic is it? So I'm fairly invested in Premier League football. I've been a Tottenham Hotspur fan since 2015. I started watching Spurs consistently around 2017. Very rarely do I miss a match, but like I'm fairly dialed in, as well as fairly dialed into just the Premier League in general and sort of Champions League. a little bit dialed into Italian football clubs and Spanish football clubs and German football clubs.
So yeah, you're ready for the World Cup, in other words.
Yeah, very ready for the World Cup. But it almost sounds like an Italian thing. Like some of the fire. So I listen to a lot of football podcasts. Like soccer is my sport. Like it is the one thing that I can consistently say that like when I consume soccer as soccer, it makes me very happy. I love like American football. Used to be a
Yeah, but
diehard
that's your
football
first
fan.
love.
Yeah, that's my first love. But like soccer is like where I'm at. And to a degree, you'll hear stories of like the craziest like owner manager situations where like yeah they'll spend and spend and spend. Like Antonio Conte is famous for this in Italy, where he is like, we have to spend this much money, we always have to spend this much money, and he pushes to spend more and more and more, and the owner's like, I don't care if we're winning, we're spending too much money. And then like they have like this big fallout and they separate and fire, and then Conte goes to another team and wins the Italian league with a different team with the same mentality, and it just sort of repeats as a thing. But yeah, so to a degree it's a little bit realistic, but at the same time it's also like some of it's just EA jank.
Yeah.
EA jank is just so janky that you're like, come on, that's not even remotely realistic.
They do have that knack for just making you like so upset, and then they do one thing and it's like, shit, they gave me a flea flicker back in college football 26 this year, and I'm like, you sons of bitches, you did it again. And I'm like, I'm back, baby. I'm like, it's one of those things to where I'm like, EA just pisses me off sometimes, and then other times I'm like, you know where to hit me.
That was me with this FIFA. Whereas for a couple of years there, they switched to like a different play style that just was not my cup of tea, and I was like, I'm not enjoying this. And then I played this one thinking it was going to be the same, and I was like, this is like FIFA 17. This is like FIFA 18. We're back. We're back. It was like I could hear like the goal music in my head, and every time I'd score a goal, I'm like, we're so back. This is amazing.
That is amazing, man. Do you feel like you're going to be playing more FIFA as the summer comes along with the World Cup and all that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's so like my biggest enjoyment with FIFA is always the second or third manager that I do, because it's a commit. It's kind of like it's my RPG. It's my commitment where I pick a team from a lower league and I work my way up based on offers that I receive, kind of like with college football, right? Where you know, I might take there was one year
an offensive coordinator job, right?
So I took the offensive coordinator. This was back in, oh my gosh, like NCAA 2013. I was like the OC at Army, and then went to Louisville. Then from Louisville, went to offensive coordinator at USC, and then took over a head coach at USC and went from there. But like in FIFA, because there's the whole relegation promotion thing, like I love it is tradition for me to take one team from the very bottom of the English leagues
and try to build them back up
and build them all the way up into the Premier League. And there was one I did like a 12-year franchise, I think, with one of the teams. It was a lot of fun. But the other thing I love too is there was one year I did FC Utrecht, which is a team from the Netherlands in the Eredivisie. And my goal was to make FC Utrecht compete in Champions League, because you know they all funnel into Champions League. So I was like, man, if I can get them into the European places and we can beat Barcelona, that would be huge for Danish football or Dutch football. This is going to be great.
You were like, we're going to change the culture here. We're going to do this.
Exactly. And so I put together like 4 great seasons at FC Utrecht where we couldn't quite win the Champions League because my players were not quite good enough, but like we would compete well enough to where like I got like the manager offer for like United, and I was like, oh, now I gotta go to United. This is great. So yeah, at some point all roads lead to Manchester United because everybody fires United managers.
Yeah, so you went to the big leagues, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, to a degree, I'm like, And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to is I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get into like that RPG style where it's like, okay, we're gonna play this weird formation and we're gonna commit to this weird formation and play style. And I think about it like in terms of the podcasts I listen to, where I'm like, oh, they'll be talking about me on the TIFO football podcast, being like, look at this weird guy at Utrecht doing these weird things.
I got the same imagination. I really do. And my thing is like, I never, for the most part, I don't imagine the podcast part much. I should probably update my, imagination to to add on to like local podcasts and like international podcasts at that point. Because when I play college football has been my, ever since it's come back, and 25 and 26 have been my sports game of choice lately. And for some reason, my heart is not over the Luka Doncic trade, so I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't look at 2K the same way right now. For y'all who don't know, I live in Dallas, Texas. My heart's not over the trade, but so like college football safe zone. I'm not super. And my college that I went to isn't even big enough to make the NCAA. Like NCAA game. So I have to pick a brand new college and get invested. Like so I start off with half a star or 1-star school, and I try to make them into juggernauts. But in my mind canon, I'm like, man, I'm going to make North Dakota the central of football this year. You know what I mean? I'm like, I ain't been to North Dakota a day in my damn life, but I'm thinking I'm gonna make that the global phenomenon for college football this year.
Yeah, I think about it the same way. Anytime I take a team up from like the bottom of the English league, it's like Championship 3 or whatever. You take them up to the Premier League, you're like, I'm going to develop all of the best players. All of the best players are going to want to come to me because I'm developing them. They see what we're doing here and they're like, I want to be that. I'm like, you're damn right.
Yes. Where I imagine like a college kid who are like, I'm gonna run through a wall for you, candidate coach. I'm gonna run through a damn wall and I'm gonna get it done. And I like naming I connect when I draft or when I like pick these players up out of the portal, or like I actually like pick up high school recruits and stuff like that. I go the extra mile and I name them. So I get extra big and like extra invested. So I have one Jim Bob, and I'm like, you damn right, Jim Bob. You run through there, you run, and you get that sack. And I'm like, so every once in a while, I'll play, like midfield, or I'll play maybe like corner and such like that. So I'm not like actually rushing, like I'm not on the front four. So I'll be like on back doing reading the receiver, trying to feel like if I can get a pick, or maybe break up a play. If it might be third down, I might take a chance and just like abandon the receiver and just go after the quarterback. But all of a sudden, I'll hear like a sack, and I'm like, who is it? And I'll look over there. It's damn Jim Bob. The red got him a sack. I'll be like, you goddamn right, you Jim Bob. Get him done. Get him done.
I
I'm like,
always love the connection that you build with like the fake players.
yes.
Almost to the point where like in FIFA, I will almost shun the real players because I like will build a relationship.
Get him off my team. Get him off my team.
Like there's been so many times where like I'll do like one of those English teams, it'll go 7 or 8 years, and I develop this player that has been with me for those 7 or 8 years. And I'm like so attached to that player, and then they'll get like a $200 million offer from Barcelona, and I'm like, you can't turn that down. That's Barca,
Go
man.
for
You
it.
have to go. Like you let them leave and you're like, but that was my boy, and now they're gone, and now they're playing for Barca, but like I built them.
There'll never be another one like you, Tito. There'll never be another one like you. But you got to go, man.
You
I
have
understand.
to.
This is your dream. This is your dream. You gotta go. You're slumming it here, Tito. I do. I think like we're talking about sports games here, whether it be college football, FIFA, NBA. It's like the best time to actually play in the management capacity of any of those, whether it be the franchise mode or management mode or anything like that. Is that year like 2, 3, and up, to where like some of your players that you signed up for when you initially got there are now gone. You've traded them away. They all went away. And now you're with that brand new squad. And that squad is all you. They're homegrown guys. If just you have that connection, yeah, it's just that's the squad. That for better intents and purposes, that's the squad.
Yeah, that's why I was slightly sad that we stopped college football. I understand why we did, and it was because of the whole EA server issues and yada yada. But like Yeah, I was getting so invested in my quarterback controversy that was building at Texas because I had this guy named Dallas Van Horn, which legendary name,
I
but
love it. He sounds like a quarterback.
he was like my fourth or dude. This dude was like movie quarterback to the T. He had like the mustache and this long hair, and he's Dallas Van Horn. And like he's like 6'1", this gunslinger with like 97 throw power and like would scramble everywhere. But he was like fifth on my depth chart. And I remember
Wow.
I went in because I was waiting for my buddy to advance the league, so I was practicing, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, let's try out this Dallas Van Horn." And I was like, "Dude, this kid can sling it."
Yeah.
So I had the number one recruit in the country, and I was so disappointed with how he was playing. I'm like, get him out of there. Get in
him out.
Dallas Van Horn.
Yeah.
And then Van Horn balled out, and I was like, it's on now.
Yeah. In the next season comes, you're like, hey, number one recruit, I'm encouraging you to transfer. You're slumming it here. You're slumming it here. Meanwhile, you go into the locker room. Dallas, this is your goddamn time. This is your time, boy.
You get this, man.
We need you. He messed up. You saw those 2 interceptions he threw. He wasn't cutting it. He wasn't cutting the mustard, but I know you'll eat the mustard. I know you. I'm like, you giving pep talks to this imaginary character.
That's what I was telling my buddy. I'm like, this other guy, man, he just doesn't convert on his opportunities. You know, I throw him in there and he'll throw like 3 picks and he misses open throws. Dallas Van Horn, man, he's got that fire in his blood. Like he just gets it. He competes.
He plays with heart, man. He plays with so much heart, you know? He plays with so much heart, you know. And I had like 2 quarterbacks like that to where I'm like, they were top recruits, and they were basically anytime I scrambled with them, they were fast as hell, but they would always fumble the damn ball. And then I'd get this third stringer in. His name was like Tracy Trainer or something to that nature. And this guy, he wasn't quite as fast as them, but he was built like prime Vince Young, and he would just mow
Hell
people
yeah.
down. He'd mow people down. He wouldn't drop the ball for anything. As a matter of fact, I'm like, I would just call direct runs with him and such like that, and just just not even like go through progressions. I'm talking about just straight QB runs from designed run plays with him.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, basically, it felt like that. It absolutely felt like that. It got to a point to where I'm like, since he was QB3, I'd move him over to like running back 2, and sometimes so I'd run plays to where like my QB would start off and I'd do an option and just pass back to him and just let him rip. And just let him rip. He doesn't have to go for 80. He'd go for like 23 every time he got the ball. So I'm like, he was just a steady workhorse. And I'm like, I think in his college career, he threw the ball like close to like 15 times with me. His old college career, I was just trucking people left and right. Just absolutely mowing people down. Yeah, so Alec, do you have anything that you're going to do this Sunday for the big game time? You're going to eat something nice?
So I will fully admit I am a Patriots fan. I have been since 2002.
Feels something wrong to hear.
No, I know. Well, so I should note, to my credit, I initially started off as a Raiders fan.
Okay.
And my mom told me that wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to be a Raiders fan. She's like, nope, can't do it.
She knew that was hard road. She knew that was a hard road. Moms know. They can look at you and know. They would be like, son, you're not built for that adversity. You're not built for, you don't have that look of death in your eyes when disappointment hits you all the time.
She's like, she's like, pick a different one. You got to pick a new team. I was like, okay. So I played Madden, and the best team in Madden was the Patriots. And I was like, Mom, I'm a Patriots fan. She's like, okay, you do that. So I have stayed. I know I will accept the hate. I fully understand it. I'm not saying I don't. But yeah, this is my prediction. My prediction for the season was 7 wins. I was like, maybe we win 7 games. If we finish over 500, I'm happy. So when we finished well over 500, I was like, we're playing with house money.
Yeah.
So that first playoff game wasn't invested. I was like, you know what? If we lose to the Chargers, that's okay. We made the playoffs. That's a huge step forward. Beat the Chargers. It's like, okay. If we lose to the Texans, that's okay. You know, they're the Texans. It's fine. As soon as we beat the Texans and then I saw Bo Nix broke his ankle, I was like, shit, now we have
This
to
is
win the
it.
whole thing.
This is it. This is our year. We're wide open, baby. When Bo Nix broke his ankle, I was just like, oh, yeah. Either the Nick Foles effect is about to happen again or the Patriots are about to be back in it. And I was
Told my buddy, I was like, I was not invested until that game because I was
Yeah.
like, that's a trap game. If you lose this game to Jarrett Stidham, we will never hear the end of it. We will never hear. Yeah, see, we will never hear the end of it. I'm like, we need to beat the Broncos. And then I was like, shit, now we're in the Super Bowl. Now we don't have a choice. We have to win that. You can't go all the way to the Super Bowl and not win it. Now, that being said, I think the Seahawks are going to win because they are a phenomenal team. I'm hoping that we win it. But the plan is nachos. We have trays of nachos that we're going to be just shoveling in chips the whole game. Yeah.
So y'all doing a nacho bar type of thing?
Yeah, well, that's the goal. So, like, my goal is I'm going to grill up a lot of chicken, cut it up, have it ready to go, and then we're just going to take trays of nachos, plop them in the oven with chips and jalapenos, salsa, guac, sour cream, cheese, and just pull them out, drizzle all that
That's it.
chicken on there, and just shovel.
That is
Good
it.
anxiety food. You know, you just keep throwing it in your mouth and chewing while you're watching. So,
Historically speaking, so my Eagles have been there a couple of times in the last couple of years. I wasn't able to eat nachos, I felt like, because it felt like I was jumping up and down too much. It felt like I was playing with blades at that point. So
Yeah.
like I'm just fully warning you. I'm just get some dead in your eyes, eating nachos and watching your team in the Super Bowl because I'm like that could be a dangerous little combination.
That's true. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm trying not to think about it, but I know Sunday I'm gonna be so damn anxious the whole day. It's like I'm not gonna enjoy a single moment of that damn game until either we win it, in which case I'll be very happy, or we lose it and I will be very unhappy.
Being in a close game when your team is that far in is hard. That's
Yeah.
the anxious thing. When it's a blowout one way or another, it's easy. It's easy,
Yeah,
you know.
but that's the thing though. Since I've been a fan, which again I know Patriots have won a lot of those games.
Yeah, you've been
Every
living good.
damn Super Bowl though with the Patriots is like a freaking, like, if we just had like a 21 win or something, it'd be fine. But every damn game, okay, last second field goal. Okay, we're gonna give up a touchdown here in the last 20 seconds. It's like every single one of them is that way, and I'm like, no, make it stop.
Yeah, the comeback from the Falcons especially was like
Yeah, that
that was
yeah.
yeah.
So that was one where I was like, that also felt like that we were playing with house money, because like
Yeah,
when
for
we
sure.
were down, I was like, okay, well, this is over. I'm done. I don't feel any investment in this at all anymore. And then when we tied it up, I was like, all right, I'm invested again.
Yeah, we're off to the races at this point. We made it a game at this point. We're respectable at least.
Like you said, it's like, oh, when it's done, it's like, especially if it's like, I remember the Broncos, what was it, the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl? Like
Yeah.
that was done in the first quarter. It was like, oh man, we can just like tune out and just goof off and enjoy this. Whereas, yeah, these other ones where it's close, oh god, I can't handle it.
All right, so last thing I wanted to bring up before we go here. I'm gonna challenge you here. I made a choice in my mind. I'm going to replay Halo Combat Evolved when it
Oh.
comes out this year.
Okay.
Are you gonna
Okay.
squad up on this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna do the campaign.
I'll do the campaign. Yeah,
All right, all right.
I'll never say no to Halo. I mean, it's Halo.
I think I was just like I joked around about last time we spoke because it's absolutely ridiculous and we do not need another Halo. Especially
we
Halo
don't.
1 this time, this soon. I would kill right now for at least 2 or 3 to be remade like this. For them to get this treatment, I feel like would have been a lot better served. But
Would have made way more sense to have redone 3. Like,
yeah, for sure.
because it's the only one that doesn't have a remaster from the original 3 yet. So
Yeah.
to not.
Yeah, exactly.
Beyond the point.
Xbox is gonna Xbox. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I'm like, the silent cartographer, it's going down, you know?
That's such a great level.
It really
Like,
is.
I remember as a kid just like replaying Silent Cartographer over and over and over again. Just like, and I wouldn't even progress far. It was just loving the whole beach assault, being
It's
dropped
so
in.
good.
It's so good.
It's so good, especially when, like, the music starts to kick in and too, and I'm like, "Oh," I'm feeling like I got a groove going, the da 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 da. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." Even if I'm getting blown to hell and back because I'm biting more than I can chew in Legendary, but, like, it was an adventure. It
Yeah,
felt like an adventure. So, Alec, man, thank you so much for doing this. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
of course. You know me. I always love being here. So
Alright, do you have anything to, shout out before you go?
not really. I mean, yeah, just go Patriots. You know.
I'm not even rooting for one team or another this year. I guess for your sake, I
That's not
do.
true. I mean, you're rooting for the Patriots now.
Yeah, yeah, since I know my good buddy right now is actually rooting for New England. It sounds so wrong considering, we've played each other in the Super Bowl a couple years back.
Embrace the dark side, man. Just like fully like put on the hoodie, you know.
God, that'd be rough. I did like the Boston area. I did like the Boston area, but God, that seems so it seems unfair that y'all are here again so quickly.
I agree. So like I said, I
No
do
expectations for
not
y'all, yeah.
take for granted 1 second what occurred. Like especially like as a kid I did for sure.
Yeah, for
As an
sure.
adult, I'm like, holy shit, we did what for how many years? Like that is like I know some folks are like, oh, here they are again, and I get that. I'm not saying I don't get it,
Yeah.
but it's like, do you not fathom how absolutely incredible it is what those teams did for that long? So yeah, I mean, and then to have the years of Mac Jones, it was like that was like that was the slap back. That was like,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
you're down here now. That's
Yeah.
Mac Jones.
You're like
And you're like,
everybody else now.
yeah, exactly. And like to be back there again, I'm like, this is insane. Like
And to
I
find your quarterback already, with Drake May performing as well as he is, to have a defense like y'all do. I'm like,
and like
God.
I'm not gonna I get the criticisms on Drake. I'm not gonna say that we played the hardest teams this year, but come on, Drake is just like that Instagram reel that keeps playing with the Van Halen song and that
Mhm.
ball flying through the rain and Keyshawn Boudier to catch. I'm like, that is art.
If they win this year, you think there's gonna be some tears there?
God, yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll also be some money spent. I need a new Drake. I need a whole Drake made jersey now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Put
yeah.
put up the wall art and everything. I was tempted. I was real tempted of these last couple of Super Bowl runs. I was like, I was thinking one of Nick Foles and one of Saquon Barkley, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the squad. But and I hang them up like my house was the banisters from like a stadium.
Yeah, the one I'm very curious about. I'll leave you with this. Was like as a Spurs fan, we have famously not won many trophies in a very long time, as people like to remind us. And we won the Europa League last year, and I was on inspection as we won
Mhm.
it. It was luckily for me, it was like a virtual inspection, so I had the game up on my phone. And I remember when we won it, uh, it was like at the end of the inspection, and I left the school and I went and cried in my car for like 15 minutes because it was like
Wow.
it was so cathartic to have watched Spurs just absolutely waste away so many years and then see them win the champion, or at least see them win Europa League, that I was like, okay, it'll be very interesting to see what's going to hit me more. Was it going to be that one or is it going to be the Super Bowl? Because I'm like,
I don't
I've
know,
seen
man.
us win the Super Bowl
Yeah.
before, but I don't know if it'll. I think I have grown to a point as a sports fan where Spurs mean more to me than just about anything. So I'm like, we'll see if the Super Bowl means as much
It
to me as
it probably
as
will,
it does for Spurs.
considering New England's done it so many times, and also like, yeah, seeing a team that is, I get, some as a sports fan, I get sometimes emotional seeing like players who really appreciate it in organizations that
See,
never get that.
that's the thing now is I have like for many years was a diehard Patriots fan, and
Mhm.
then I stopped watching the NFL around the whole Deshaun Watson thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
for
how
sure.
is this guy allowed to play? This is beyond me.
Turns out you didn't have to wait long. It turns out you didn't have to
Yeah,
wait long.
well, yeah. So like, and it really opened my eyes to the NFL being the flawed product that it is, but
Yeah,
that's
for
an
sure.
entirely different conversation. But now I've come around to football. It's something that I watch to enjoy, especially for the people that are in it that are people that you want to root for. Like I root for Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
like
It's a
I know
great
people
comeback story.
I know people love to hate, but come on, like that dude is in the Super Bowl. Like he has turned his entire career, which was a laughing stock, into a Super Bowl. It's the same reason I root for Bryce Young. Bryce Young is such a likable dude. Everybody loves to hate him. And I'm like, why? There's so many other people that you can hate. Why do you choose to hate this guy?
It's that top draft pick mentality, man. It's just something about hating that top draft pick and seeing them. And I'm like, they're in a bad organization. Sam Darnold was in the land of the
Yep.
Jets, and I'm
Yep.
like, basically the little brother of a team that's also in the absolute dumpster juice that is New York right now, in New York football. So I'm like, it is crazy to me that that underdog rags to riches story that's going on with
Yeah,
Sam
but
Darnold
it's
this year.
but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I love to see stories like that now, and I find myself almost more infatuated with like those kinds of like rooting for players and organizations as opposed to just being a Patriots fan. But I mean, this Sunday that's not the case. But but
I mean,
generally
both of the
like
teams already won at least a Super Bowl in our lifetime, so
yeah.
yeah, it
But
hits differently.
yeah, as more of a general NFL fan, yeah, it is. I find myself less infatuated with the Patriots and way more involved in players and organizations. Like, man, who doesn't root for Dan Campbell? Like,
Yeah, he's a likable guy, man. He's a likable guy. So, man, Alec, thank you so much for doing this. It's always a pleasure.
of course, yeah, man, always happy to be here.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. You can always find this at your favorite podcast platform, and go check us out in the links below. I've been Sebastian. That's been Alec. This has been a glorious 2 hours. It's one of my favorite times. Just hanging out with my boy right here, just talking about anything and everything, gaming, sports, and in between. This has been the single player experience, and until next time, bye, everybody. I thought you were gonna say live long to prosper.
Remember, the best experience is a single play experience. This is a single play experience. This is a single play experience. Yeah, hit that like, hit subscribe, keep it locked, no doubt. We talk passion, progression, what this life's about. Got reviews so real, you can feel that route. When we